Welcome to the Friday afternoon potluck. And this is just like a real potluck where you're going to get a little bit of everything. Not sure you're going to like everything that you pick, but I think we've got some really good stuff today. We've got some national politics. We've got a primer on the Federal Reserve, which I know is going to make somebody roll their eyes, but it was really interesting, and I didn't feel like I knew enough about the Federal Reserve, so that's why we have that discussion. And we're going to look at some of the weekend's events happening in Anchorage. We are, though, going to start off with one of my favorite topics, and that's the Olympics. We are 1 week away from opening ceremonies, and well, let me tell you, Milan.
Ok, bellissimo. Wow. È accesa, adesso è ok. Vada.
Well, one of the events that is going to be happening is the bobsled, and Elena Myers-Taylor is synonymous with U.S. bobsled, and you're going to say, I don't know that name. Then you're going to see her picture and you go, I absolutely know her face. She's preparing for her 5th Olympics and has already accumulated 5 Olympic medals, 3 silver and 2 bronze. But her motivation for these games, she says, isn't just about getting gold, but her 2 young children. Soban McGurl has this story.
The U.S. women's bobsled team carries a legacy of Olympic medals. A legacy that Alana Myers-Taylor
and you're down here and you stay down here the whole time
has played a huge part in.
I care so deeply about this women's team. I mean, the U.S. women's bobsled team has been one of the most successful teams in the country.
The 41-year-old grew up in Georgia, but she has roots in South Jersey, Pemberton, Burlington County.
My parents will always consider Pemberton home, even if they moved away, so it's nice. And that's where they met. They met in Pemberton High School, and they've been together ever since, so it's crazy. So it's always going to be home to my family because of that connection.
Myers-Taylor set the bar, breaking the record for most Olympic medals in women's bobsled history with 3 silver and 2 bronze.
Here we go. Let's have some fun.
And becoming the most decorated black athlete to ever compete in the Winter Games.
Means everything to wear red, white, and blue.
Locked in ahead of her 5th Olympics, she says this push is about more than going for that gold.
I really want a gold medal, haven't gotten it yet, and so that's the one thing I feel like is missing from my resume. But besides that, it's doing it for myself and doing it for my kids, to show them that I could go out there and I could chase my dreams and I could overcome obstacles and just continue to persevere through any obstacles that come my way and actually achieve my dreams. Whee!
Nico,
Let's go, you.
and Noah, her motivation.
Both of my kids are disabled, so I really want to show them that despite what people tell you, despite people telling you whatever about yourself, that you can achieve your dreams, that you can go for it regardless. And I also want to show them that it's okay, like you're gonna falter at times, but you can learn a lot and you can continue to grow and you can fight through those hard times.
Nico has Down syndrome, and both Nico and Noah are deaf.
And like this for music, Nico loves music, and for Noah with a smile, because Noah is a happy guy. Hey, you. I'm learning ASL, but also the team has taken it upon themselves. A lot of the members of the team are learning ASL as well. So even those little moments help. Even those little moments of having exposure and both the kids being able to communicate with the team means everything. These are the best in the world athletes, and they get to see them day in and day out doing all the things I'm doing. Get to see them going out there and fighting for their dreams and trying to win medals for this country. And for them to be able to witness that firsthand, it means everything. Ready? Whoa.
A bobsled legend fueled by family, showing her sons that because of them, her dream continues.
I'm very excited to be able to sign to them and communicate with them and to, be there firsthand and like show them that, yes, these are for you. Hopefully, these 2 gold medals are for you.
That would be so exciting to see happen after this being her 5th Olympics. So impressed by that, and just really interesting to see how they jump into the bobsled like that when you're actually in the open case instead of the surrounded one. I thought that was very interesting. Now, if people in Central Park, they got all that snow that came through, well, they got a little bit of a treat. Is pretty amazing. I think I would trust him to jump over me because he's pretty trustworthy on that, but still a little bit scary. Okay, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we've got a lot of fun things. As I said, we're going to talk a little bit of politics, and then we're also going to talk about the Federal Reserve. Welcome back to your Friday Potluck. Now, from a new proposed Fed chair to a possible government shutdown, our Washington, D.C. bureau has the latest. Here's Josiah Pike.
President Trump announced on social media earlier today he would nominate Kevin Warsh to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. Joining us to talk about it is our White House correspondent, John Decker. John, why did the president choose Warsh, and what's he expecting now from the Fed?
Well, the president indicated both in a social media post and also a little bit later in the Oval Office that he believes Kevin Warsh, who is 55 years old, formerly served on the Federal Reserve, is the best person available for the job. He would succeed Jerome Powell as the Fed chair. Powell's term ends in May. He still needs to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Now, as it relates to what the president is expecting, he's expecting Kevin Warsh to lead the way, to pave the way for the Fed to continue lowering interest rates over the course of 2026. That being said, just 2 days ago, the Fed voted 10-2 to pause interest rate cuts. That upset the president. I think that that's perhaps one of the reasons why the president announced Jerome Powell's successor just a few days later.
I know the Senate's working to hammer out a deal that would avoid a potential government shutdown. What's in this deal, and what happens next?
Well, this deal would fund all funding for 5 federal departments through the end of this fiscal year, through September the 30th. But as it relates for funding for the Department of Homeland Security, that would only last for the next 2 weeks. It will be a continuing resolution, allowing lawmakers to come up with a compromise to address those concerns by Senate Democrats. They would like to see changes in the tactics that DHS agents employ in many cities across the country. So once it passes the Senate, which will likely be later today, later tonight, it still needs to be passed by the House of Representatives. The House Speaker said that would happen on Monday. But what that means is we are going to have 2 days of a federal government shutdown. It will be a partial government shutdown before the House votes on this legislation on Monday.
Now, the president filed a lawsuit yesterday against the IRS and the Treasury Department in which he's seeking $10 billion in damages. John, you're a lawyer. What are the details of this suit, and what are the potential problems that this lawsuit could face?
Well, the details are this. A rogue individual who is a contractor at the IRS released details of Donald Trump's tax returns to the New York Times, which published them. And so the president is suing over that particular issue. $10 billion, that represents the president's punitive damages, they say, associated with the embarrassment of having this information released to the public. The problems, well, it could fall past the statute of limitations, number one, because the publication of this happened more than 2 years ago, which would be the statute of limitations. That's problem number one. And problem number two, there are so many conflicts associated with this. As it relates to the major conflict, the president is suing his own Treasury Department. The president is suing his own IRS. So that, too, is a major conflict that will have to be resolved by the federal courts.
All right, and finally, the Department of Justice today released more than 3 million additional pages from the Epstein files. John, what information is contained in this latest release?
Well, we know that it's actually 3.5 million pages altogether, 3.5 million documents, images that total around 180,000, and a lot of videos, 2,000 videos as well. There are many redactions here to protect the victims associated with Jeffrey Epstein. And that 3.5 million document release occurring today, that isn't even the tip of the iceberg. There's still 3 million more documents that need to be released by the Department of Justice. It obviously will take time to go through all of this material over the course of the next few weeks.
All right, White House correspondent John Decker, thanks for the good reporting.
Thank you.
And they were just speaking a few minutes ago about the Federal Reserve and that they did decide earlier this week to not drop interest rates once again. I wanted to know more about this, what they do. I sat down with Al Biss with Biss Wealth Partners to kind of have a conversation about what the Federal Reserve is and how it impacts our lives. Welcome to this edition of In Depth Alaska. I'm Tracy Sinclair, and with me today, Al Biss, our favorite certified financial planner with Biss Wealth Partners. And this has been in the news a lot lately, and so I thought I'd go to you because it feels like something I should know, and I don't really think that I do. Let's talk a little bit about the Federal Reserve, kind of Federal Reserve 101. 5 years ago, if you'd asked me who head of the Federal Reserve, I'd have been like, I don't know. But now I know his name, Jerome Powell, because they've been in the news.
Yes.
What is the Federal Reserve? What does it do?
Okay, first a little history on the Federal Reserve. For many years, the United States did not have a Federal Reserve. Then, 1907, there was a panic. Some of the bankers got together to kind of get everything put back together. And the U.S. government decided it's probably best not to depend on the banking to get through different crises. So they came up in 1913 with the Federal Reserve. Now, it's set up so it's not completely controlled by one area or another. It's based out of Washington, D.C., but there are 12 governors spread around the nation, so you're supposed to not have any one area or group, banks, feds, anything, controlling it.
Okay.
So to do this, their big mandate is controlling short-term interest rates, what the federal government loans money to banks, to kind of set that baseline interest rate. Where this comes in is they've got two goals. There are two mandates, and they're not always working together.
Okay.
The first mandate is maximum employment. That is trying to get as many people in the workforce as possible so we have as few people not working.
Okay.
So that's the first mandate. The second mandate is price stability, so not having inflation, which, for years you talk inflation, no one really got it. The last 5 years, people have understood a lot more because we've actually seen some. So the Federal Reserve is trying to do two things that conflict sometimes. So inflation is usually caused, you'll see it worse with low interest rates. It can push inflation up, but it helps the economy, so it lowers your unemployment. So it can fight against each other. So the Fed's kind of walking a tightrope with that sometimes.
It never occurred to me that the Federal Reserve was related to getting as many people employed there. So lowering what happens when you lower the interest rate? How does that get people employed?
Great question. So what that does is it encourages people to borrow money. It makes it less expensive to borrow money. So if I'm a company and I want to grow, if interest rates are higher, it's harder or more expensive for me to borrow money, which makes it less profitable to maybe do an expansion. If it's much less expensive to borrow money, then I'm more willing to go out there, borrow money to expand my business, maybe build a new factory, maybe bring on a whole new group of people to run a whole new division. If it costs me 15% to borrow the money, I'll be a lot more hesitant than if it would cost me 5% to borrow the money. So as interest rates drop, it's more attractive for folks to borrow money to then go out there and grow businesses or spend money or buy BTS tickets or whatever is out there that you're looking to do. Less expensive money makes it easier to do that.
So for businesses, yes, but this would kind of be the same thing, like I need to remodel my bathroom. I'm going to borrow some money to do that. Again, if it's a lower interest rate, I'm going to say, okay, it's worth it to do it now.
Absolutely. If I look out there and say, okay, I'm going to borrow $100,000 for a home improvement project, it's at 5%, there's $5,000 a year, $400 a month of interest. Not great, but if it's at 15%, there's $15,000 a year of interest I'm having to pay. That'll make me think twice about doing that bathroom remodel. Or buying a car if my interest rate's 8% versus 2%. Or if I'm buying a house, if I'm getting interest on a mortgage at 3 or 4%, I can afford a lot more house. I'm willing to pay more for a house than if it's at 7 or 8%. So as interest rates are lower, it allows people to borrow more, to spend more, both individually and on the business side.
So just recently, the Federal Reserve, just on Wednesday, decided we're not changing anything.
Right.
The president wanted the interest rate to be lowered.
Right.
Why would you not want the interest rates to be lowered? Why is there conflict there?
Great question, and that also leads me to the second mandate of the Fed, price stability. So, as Milton Friedman said, and I've got the quote here, inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. Inflation is too many dollars, or not necessarily too many dollars, but many dollars chasing a limited supply of goods. So if we run interest rates really low, all these people have all this money they're spending, they're out there spending money, prices go up. We saw this last 4 or 5 years when they kept interest rates low, arguably too long, and there was a bunch of stimulus that was dumped on the market. So there's all these people with all this money out there spending, and we're seeing prices that rose up. So you're seeing everything from houses to a bunch of things going. You couldn't find vehicles. It was hard to buy cars. There was somewhat supply chain, but there was a lot of demand. Supply didn't change. Prices go up.
Okay.
Now, we mentioned a little earlier demand pricing. What are your experiences with that?
Dynamic pricing, trying to get BTS tickets.
Yes.
The prices change while you're looking at it.
Yep. So just like anything with a limited supply, If you've got a huge amount of demand, oh, we'll try and charge 10 grand for this ticket. Okay, no one's buying them at 10. How about 8? 6? Oh, there's a whole bunch of people at 6. Let's bump it to 7. Same thing, we're familiar with it here in Alaska when we're looking at trying to travel out of state during any school holidays. Alaska Airlines knows they've got us. All the airlines raise their prices because there's a huge demand, X amount of supply, so you see prices go up. So when it comes to the Federal Reserve, if they keep interest rates too low too long, all that money comes in the system, it pushes prices up, and then we get inflation. So they're walking a line of trying to keep the interest rates low enough to keep the economy going well and their unemployment low, employment high, but not so low that it stimulates too much and we start to raise prices and get inflation again. So one of the former Fed chairmen, Alan Greenspan, had a saying is the Federal Reserve's job is to take the punch bowl away just as the party's getting going, which when you're a politician, you want that stimulus, you want the fast economy. Even if farther down the road prices go up, you want the stimulus now, you want the low interest rates now to get things looking better and better on your watch. Farther down the road, not as big of a concern. So that's what we're seeing politicians of all stripes want, to cut rates so they can encourage the economy to do better under their watch.
But then the Federal Reserve is also watching that inflation side of it and saying, in 18 months, this will have been a bad decision.
Yeah, well, and this is the problem. It is an 18-month lag, 6, 12, 18. It's farther down the road. It's kind of like driving down Minnesota in one of these snowstorms. There's a semi in front of you. You hope everything keeps going the same and you don't see any brake lights all of a sudden. So they have to try and figure out what's going on in the future by using past data. So it is a bit of a guessing game. It's walking a tightrope between those two mandates of low unemployment and prices that aren't increasing too fast. So yes, that's a continuing thing where what they're trying to find, which is kind of one of these economic concepts called the neutral rate, which is the interest rate they can set at where it's that kind of Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, unemployment's low, inflation's low, everyone's happy. No one knows where that number is, though. So you'll have some experts saying, well, they should cut rates, another half, 3/4, 1%. Professor Siegel from Wharton is one that's saying he's been saying you can cut rates for a while. Other people come out saying, cut rates too much, inflation pops back up, that's harder to put back in the bag. And once inflation goes up, you usually don't see it come down. It's a one-way ratchet.
And so just kind of my last question, as your average person,
yeah,
how does this impact my life?
Great question. Depends on what you're doing. Are you loaning money out or are you borrowing money? Now, most folks, especially when you're younger, you're borrowing money. You're buying a house, you're buying a car, you're taking loans on to buy these items. The interest rates going up slows that down, it makes it more expensive. So rising interest rates is harder on people borrowing money. Lowering interest rates are better on people that are borrowing money. On the flip side, are you loaning money? And most folks say, well, how do I loan money? I don't loan money.
Right. I don't loan money to anybody.
There's a few folks out there. And you're attached to things that loan money. So if you're at the bank in your savings account, if interest rates are low, you're not making much on it. If you get a short-term CD, that's loaning money to the bank. So as interest rates go up, you're making more interest. Now in your 401ks at work, or if you've got a pension plan, they're in there investing in bonds. As interest rates go up, you make more money on bonds, CDs, savings. So it's rising rates are good for people loaning out money, not as good for people borrowing money. So lowering rates hurts some people, helps others. Just like everything, there's a trade-off. There's pros and cons to everything.
Well, your favorite answer every time we ask a question is,
it depends.
It depends.
I know. I'm pretty predictable.
So very good. Thanks. Al Biss with Biss Wealth Partners. Thank you so much for joining us on In-Depth Alaska. That was really interesting, and I think I understand the Federal Reserve a little bit better.
Thank you.
It was a really fun conversation, and I do feel like I learned some stuff, so I really appreciate Al coming in and talking to us about that. Now, when we come back, we are going to talk to a chef who, once again, fingers crossed, has been nominated for a James Beard Award, and we're also going to And welcome back to the Friday Potluck. Recently, the James Beard Award nominees were announced, and we had a number of Alaskans in that group. This includes Fire Island Rustic Bake Shop, that was for Outstanding Bakery. Outstanding Hospitality to Tutka Bay, that's the lodge in Homer. And then 2 for Best Chef, Nathan Bentley with Altura Bistro and Mike Dodge with Whiskey and Ramen. Rebecca Palsha sat down with Nathan Bentley and to talk about the nomination and, of course, the last meal before he dies.
Thank you so much for coming here, Nathan Bentley, Altura Bistro, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are super honored to be recognized again.
And tell me, when did you hear about the nomination for the James Beard Award?
Last Monday when they posted it, and actually my buddy Kevin Lane reached out to me and had told me that it had happened, and just grateful to be recognized on this national stage again.
That's cool. How does this process work? Like, do you submit your name for something, or is it someone who like secretly comes by?
To be honest, I really don't know how the process works. This is our 4th time. I've never, put in my own name. It's always been a surprise to us, and yeah.
Is this like a game changer for you? Like, every time you get a nomination, does business increase? Like, what does it mean for your restaurant?
Yeah, business increases. It's really a huge motivator. It definitely, being recognized, we're in an industry that, is kind of thankless sometimes. And so, seeing your name and being recognized for something that you really put your passion and soul into and like true blood, sweat, and tears, it definitely gets the whole team riled up and excited.
How did you get into restaurants and food?
Growing up, my family, we always cooked together a lot. My mom was a great cook. My dad was actually a chef in his previous life. So we always cooked together. I'm really bad at math, so I knew I was not going to be an engineer or an architect or anything. And I just really took to the kitchen. And I was an Eagle Scout growing up. Ended up getting a full ride scholarship through a Rotary Club in town that paid for me to go through UAA's culinary program, and finished my degree with their transfer program to Apicius International School of Hospitality in Italy, and the rest is kind of history.
Nice.
Yeah.
How old is the restaurant now?
We have been open for 6.5 years.
And what's your favorite thing there?
Well, we're known for a sweet prawn bisque. When we make it in a 55-gallon batch, it's pretty incredible that we're able to go through it, yeah.
What keeps you going every day? Because I can imagine this is just so much work.
It's a lot of stress, but really it's engaging with our guests and seeing, we're creating memories. We're not just putting food on a plate. We're not just talking to a table. We're creating an experience. And that's something that my staff really stands behind and we're really proud of. And again, just creating memories for guests is the important part.
And what are the odds? How hard is it to get a nomination?
Well, there's 10 regions, I think, that they have it broken out to, 8 or 10 regions, and there's 15 people per region. And there's a lot of restaurants out there, so it doesn't seem like it's pretty easy to get one. Yeah.
And so now, what do you do now?
Now we just keep doing what we do. And I believe that the next round, they send judges out that are supposed to eat at your restaurant, and it's all incognito. You have no idea that they're coming in, and so we just keep doing what we do normally and hope for the best. It'll be a finals round. That's usually, I want to say March or April, that they'll announce the finalists. It's 5 people from each category, and then in the summer they'll announce who the winner is.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So what's the stress level of being okay, I have this nomination, and now I'm just waiting for someone secretly to come in?
Right. It is added pressure, but we were able to get a nomination without knowing that was going to happen. And so as long as we just keep reiterating with our staff that we're just here to do what we do best and keep doing what we do best, then we can just hope for the best.
Is it I wonder if people, when they think of Alaska, you think oh, I want to come here and I want to have fish and crab and stuff. But how would you describe the food scene in the state?
I do think that a lot of, I'm surrounded by some incredible talent, all the way from, Fairbanks all the way down to Juneau and everyone in between. There are a lot of chefs here that truly inspire me. And a lot of us are really into the sustainability of what we have, with Alaskan seafood. That is something I'm really proud to share and have on our menu. So you see a lot of, contemporary American food, but there's a lot of ethnic food in this state that's phenomenal as well, too.
Favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? I love hanging out at Southside Bistro.
And what would you order there?
I love their nachos.
What's about their nachos? I've not had their nachos.
They're wood-fired in a real wood-fired pizza oven. Yeah, if you haven't had them, you've got to have them.
Oh, I'm gonna write that one down.
Totally.
Nachos. Awesome. What's your favorite thing at your place?
I love doing our sweet prawn bisque as well. And I really love that we always bring in, all of our steaks are prime grade or higher. I mean, we always have Wagyu available as well too. All of our fish is fresh. I love the way that we do our oysters. That's been a struggle for me to change. It's been on our menu for 6 years now, and we do a yuzu and plum wine foam on them, and it's the perfect little delicate accent to what, in simple oyster.
And you say struggle to change, like you can't, like people are like, don't touch that?
I think that, yeah, people would come after me if I did.
What do you hope, so when these judges come in, what do you hope that they order? And is it just one visit that they do? Do you know?
I have no idea how that works. I would imagine it would be one visit. I'm not sure if they're based out of a larger market like Seattle and they go around, or if there are people up here that represent the James Beard on a judging level. But again, I would really hope that they would come in and order our seafood. I mean, we're really known for our king crab as well too. We don't just steam it like most people do. We cut a boat out of the shell and fill it with Creole seasoning and then grill it with clarified butter, and it's just so decadent. And trying to take what people know and elevating comfort food is kind of what I try to do.
Do you think you've succeeded?
I'd like to say so. Yeah, it's been a really fun and interesting 6.5 years.
What's like kind of the wildest story?
I mean, opening right before COVID was wild, but instead of getting upset and ducking our heads, we really evolved from that, and that really actually launched who we were. Partnering up with Beans Cafe with our wholesale soup business and starting our burger program. That's a whole other thing too. And we do the takeout only burgers and sandwiches that are all scratch made, and for the longest time I wanted to get rid of it, but again, the town shows that they love it. If we're selling 500 sandwiches to go a week.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it hard though? Like, I can't imagine you have like a lot of time off because you're the owner as well. So like, is this all consuming?
It is very consuming, but you gotta love it. I mean, you have to, and you have to get in the right headspace. I've recently started going to the gym a lot and needing that for my mental health, and I mean, it really is. It does take a lot, but you gotta love it.
Is there any time that you're like, this is just way too much work?
I've been there before.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, again, I really think that this industry is really hard on you. And so, I mean, as long as you're doing something for yourself, whether it's going to therapy or exercising or finding what you need for it, it's all doable.
What do you see for the future for yourself?
I would love for us to get this James Beard Award at some point, or even seeing another Alaskan win it would be great. Just continuing to shine light on what we're doing up here in our industry is so important. My goals, though, I'm hoping to open some brick and mortar burger places in town.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. So for the other nominees from Alaska, have you been to their places?
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone's been to Whiskey and Ramen. I love hanging out there too. Their bar scene's fantastic. The food's great. I have not made it down to the Tutka Bay Lodge. Fire Island is fantastic. I mean, they're bulletproof with their food. So, yeah.
So if someone hasn't come to your restaurant yet, what do you recommend that they get for the first time? Is it this?
Start with some scallops.
Scallops, okay.
Get some pork belly. We're known for our 90-hour sous vide pork belly. That's a great process as well too. Honestly, anything from our appetizers section. Got to get the sweet prawn bisque. Maybe move on to some fresh king salmon. We try our best to get white king salmon as much as we can too. And then finish off with any of our desserts. We're really known for our clafouti. Right now we're doing a beautiful Riesling poached pear with goat cheese ice cream, and it's fantastic.
That does sound fantastic.
Yeah.
Like when you are making something and you're not sure, do you go into it being like, I know what I want and here's a recipe, or is it, a piece of it, and then how do you get there?
It's kind of a piece of it, and then you work from there. And I'm really big on collaborating with my staff as well too. My front of house team, I really get their input as well too. What's selling, what's not selling, what do you want to see on the menu, and how can we grow from there and do some cool things? What needs to come off? Where are we going to move and do something that's totally unique? I mean, I think we're the only place in town right now serving octopus on our menu. And that evolved from actually my front of the house staff asking me like, hey, can we put some octopus on the menu? And here we go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's funny. Do you have favorite customers?
Oh yeah, we
Yeah?
have some serious regulars that we just adore. We have, and they all love to come sit at the bar and hang out, and we all just chat, and yeah, they've made friends with each other, and yeah.
You get to come out, like you have time? Nice. What do you think, like, will it change you if you win? Like, is it...
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I definitely, you get more recognition on a national level, but I don't think it's going to change me who I am as a person. Yeah.
Are you nervous? Or do you just let it go?
Just let it go. You have to. Otherwise, I mean, it's just going to consume you. Yeah.
Last meal before you die.
Gnocchi.
Really?
Yeah, that's another one on our menu. When I went and did my degree in Italy, our professor asked, like, what do you want to take with it? So what's one dish you want to take with you back? And I was like, I want to learn how to make the best gnocchi.
Oh.
Yeah, and so we have a seasonal gnocchi. Sauce changes every week or every 2 weeks, and it's another highlight on our menu as well too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's a big deal to be nominated.
Thank you.
And good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming today.
Appreciate you having me.
That's what I was trying to do. You can find the In-Depth Alaska podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. We've recently had discussions about Greenland. We've been talking, we've recently talked to a couple different politicians, different people around the state, topics that Alaskans will care about. So go ahead and check that out. We do have some things going on this weekend around seen it because Cat in the Hat kind of freaks me out. He kind of scares me just a little bit. We to get to the moon, you know, it takes some practice, and a lot of practice, in fact. And another significant event that takes place this weekend is the Artemis 2 moon rocket. Mart Strassman reports on some of the sims that the crews have been working on so far.
From this back room at Johnson Space Center's training facility, you're looking at trial by fire, NASA style.
So let's put in the prop malfunction, Jessica, and then give it, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, and then we'll put yours in.
A series of manufactured in-flight failures.
Houston.
The goal, test the responses of the Artemis 2 crew sitting in the flight simulator down the hall.
It's extreme voltage. Am I getting an extreme voltage? Yeah.
And that's something they're actively working on right now, right?
Lisa Voiles is the chief training officer for these simulations. Her team of gremlins dreams up the endless ways something could go wrong during any phase of the mission.
I think that sounds good. It'll give them something to talk about.
So what kind of problems are you throwing at them?
Oh, it could vary. Anything from smallest sensor failure all the way up to a fire case, an emergency case. How do you respond to that in a capsule?
They've been troubleshooting for months during dozens of simulations, both the crew in the capsule and the team in mission control.
Looks like we're getting some initial indications this could be a bellows failure.
As the simulation is going along, they're throwing problems at you.
Yep.
Here's a surprise.
Yep.
Do they ever come up with a doozy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they certainly come up, they're very creative.
1 minute to burn.
Judd Freeling is one of the flight directors here.
Liftoff confirmed. Copy liftoff.
The second Artemis II lifts off, Freeling will sit in the hot seat, NASA's man in charge.
Can you ever truly adequately prepare for everything that could go wrong?
Not everything, but I think what the simulations we do teaches us is how to adapt, right? If you don't have a completely nailed down plan, at least you have a straw man of what the plan might be.
It's why you practice for the big game.
Exactly.
Remember the stakes in deep space. During an emergency, no one can call AAA for a tow back to Earth. That's why everyone involved understands why these simulations matter. Even if Artemis II mission specialist Jeremy Hansen jokingly calls them
these sort of evil tests for us. And we'll be sitting in the sim, all our mission controllers are in mission control, and then stuff will just start breaking. You're like, oh, come on, really, that?
Yes, that. Sometimes several flashing light crises at once.
Do they really think you're evil?
I think so, yeah, I think a little bit. You have to be a little evil, but all for good intentions. Anybody have any questions about that malfunction? We can't predict everything that will happen. I think any scenario that you work through, even if it's not the exact one that you see in space, all that experience and all that development together is going to benefit everyone.
Especially if the crew runs into trouble during its roughly 500,000-mile round trip to the moon. Mark Strassman, CBS News in Houston.
That is so fascinating. This weekend, a critical fueling test is scheduled, and a launch could happen as soon as next week. The test flight will send 3 Americans and 1 Canadian on a 10-day flight looping around the moon and back. They will likely travel further from the Earth than humans have ever gone before. I think that is so fascinating. Up next. Welcome back to your Friday Potluck. Again, we got a little bit of everything here, and one of the things that has been top of discussion over the last several weeks, of course, has been Greenland, the questions of its importance. While a lot of it seems to be calming down, the question of its importance still lingers. Investigative reporter Augusta McDonald spoke with Professor Cameron Carlson. He is the Dean of College and Business, Dean of the College of Business and Security Management at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. They wanted to discuss the impacts and why it is important to Alaska. Here's part of that discussion.
And I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on what the president has wanted with Greenland. Some of the responses to the president's, discussions globally, or the communications that have come out where he's discussed wanting Greenland, wanting the land itself, even at one point making mention of sending U.S. forces to Greenland. All of this about really a military and a security picture about Greenland, but there's also an economic picture there, which seems to be the issue that's rising to the top here. What are U.S. interests in Greenland? We already have access in a military capacity to the people there have indicated that the United States can come in and do what they need to do from a security perspective. But what's the rub from an economic perspective?
Well, from an economic perspective, it clearly blunts our ability to partner with countries that are in the region, not just Greenland, but Denmark as well, since Greenland is basically subsumed by the country of Denmark. And that hurts both relationships in a very real economic way. When you look at what has occurred, there is a real spillover potential for Alaska in terms of defense spending, for an example. And the fact is that as the posture of Alaska ending that takes place within Alaska and Greenland itself. I mean, we take President Trump at his word, and that is that he has really looked at and has focused on numerous occasions the fact that Greenland poses a very strategic interest for Arctic security for the United States, and that Greenland has cooperated historically with us, going back, 60 years on a variety of different partnerships that we've had, military operations that have taken place. To have this occur is not helpful. But an extension of the Arctic security beyond that, again, taking President Trump at his word, is that he's looked at and he's discussed, what the economic benefit of Greenland could, I would underscore, in terms of rare earths and the opportunity to perhaps realize what some of the benefits would be within that region. But again, I would point out in developing that, what really makes the United States an Arctic actor is not the United States itself, it's the placement of Alaska within the Arctic. And while that may seem very commonsensical to individuals that live here in Alaska, if you were to look at the lower 48, some individuals would probably say, I fail to see what the real interests of the United States are. But we have a vast amount of territory here in Alaska. Strategically, we are located in very close proximity to Russia, and we have basically the ability to look at and monitor and control what basically exits and goes through the Bering Strait. So just that alone, in both a security and economic context, what we don't want to see happen is, again, that this escalates to the point where it damages both our ability to operate and continue to do what we have done in Greenland, and likewise undercut everything that has been developed here in Alaska, especially while we still look to develop a deep water port in Nome, and we look at what other opportunities could be in terms of basing, in terms of transportation and routes that would go through the Arctic alongside Alaska, and what those benefits could be for us over the long term.
I want to go back to, you mentioned rare earth minerals. Do you think that these rising international tensions, these signals from the executive branch that the United States might take significant action to secure its interest in Greenland, do you think that was part of a strategic business move?
Most likely, as the president again has said on numerous occasions, the Trump administration has been very wary that China has basically been able to dominate the rare earths market. And I think, again, recognizing in a very real way is that there is a look at how we might diversify, how we might be able to be more preeminent in terms of having the ability to basically hedge our way into becoming a major rare earth actor as well. We could do that, yes, with Alaska, but Greenland is likewise a land that could be incredibly rich in terms of rare earths, unrealized as of yet due to numerous reasons. There are logistic reasons. There are reasons in terms of the fact that they are expensive to extract. So again, it's very difficult at this point to really take a look at, what the end game is here and where we end up in terms of, that benefit for us in terms of rare earths.
Okay, thank you for that. And so do you think that U.S. interest in rare earth minerals abroad presents and creates competition for what could be mined or developed in Alaska?
I think it does. Again, there is a vast amount of space here in Alaska that we just have not really done the exploration on to determine what the potential is for rare earths. We have the capability to basically go in and do that because, again, the United States owns Alaska. And there's been a lot of discussion, with that since the Trump administration has come to power in terms of taking a look at how we inwardly could focus on developing some of these rare earths, where we could basically go and how we might responsibly go through and start to harvest those rare earths and basically do it in a responsible way that would benefit not only the state of Alaska, but the nation as a whole. And that could be done in partnership, again, with other Arctic countries that are already looking to benefit from new sources of rare earths other than China and other locations globally.
Away from the Milan Cortina opening ceremonies, the Olympics, and a growing number of Olympians are concerned about climate change. Meteorologist Chase Kane talked with Team USA athletes about how climate change is already affecting the sports they love.
Can the Winter Olympics beat the heat? Athletes are sounding the alarm, including Olympic gold medalist Lindsey Vonn.
The fact that we have to make snow pretty much everywhere we go, everything has changed. I mean, the glaciers from when I first went to Europe at 9 years old till now it's dirt. There's almost no glacier left.
A Climate Central analysis found that Winter Olympics host cities have warmed nearly 5 degrees in 70 years. In Cortina, it's 6.5 degrees. And that matches the trend across the U.S., where winter is almost 4 degrees hotter than it was in 1970. That means a shorter season, more warm winter days, and fewer places to reliably train and compete.
In the decade that I've been traveling around to the same places, I've seen lots of change. You can see way more of the rock comparatively when it used to be ice. And obviously, that's scary and weird.
The 4 most recent Winter Olympics needed a lot of artificial snow to keep the games going. 4 years ago in Beijing, it was nearly 100% fake snow.
And Milan Cortina expects they'll need to make a lot of snow too, possibly enough to fill 30 Rockefeller Plaza 3.5 times. That requires a lot of energy and water, but long term, even that won't be enough to overcome winter getting warmer and shorter, which is why some athletes are getting louder, like one of USA Snowboarding's newest stars, B. Kim.
And each year we wonder if there'll even be enough snow for us to compete and do what we love.
Taking her voice to the floor of the United Nations.
One, I couldn't watch it happen and not say anything about it. But also, it's crazy to me to think that in the future, none of this could be here for the next generation and for my future kids and grandkids to see. And so that's also why I'm trying to protect it.
Because climate change has quickly shifted from being a future concern to a very real problem today.
We'll all comment on it like, oh, remember, even 3-4 years ago when we'd show up here and there'd be way more snow. So we definitely talk about it. I mean, it's something as skiers, we need the snow. We ski as much as we can. So it's something that you're faced with, and you realize that it's really important to your life. So it's definitely something we chat about all the time.
In New York, I'm meteorologist Chase Kane.